Hello, Starlings.
Welcome to Twin Stars, the show where cosmic wisdom meets everyday magic.
I'm Jamie, astrologer, hypnotist, Akashic record reader, and the mystical CEO behind the House of Mage. I help you align with the rhythms of the moon, rewire your inner world, and awaken the part of you that was written in the stars and etched in the records of your soul.
And I'm Josie, astrologer, artist, and chakric pagan. I live at the intersection of ritual and art, where I create custom portraits, alchemizing your sun, moon, and rising signs into visual spells of you and for you.
We created this podcast to guide you, our fellow starlings, through astrology, energy, and the unseen forces shaping your life. When we gather together, we activate each other's light, reminding us that our magic is stronger when we're in community.
So breathe into the crown. Feel yourself held at the balance point. Day and night, light and dark, poised in perfect measure. At this equinox threshold, we honor the turning from radiant light into the sacred dark, and we carry forward only what is worthy of devotion. Now let's begin.
Oh my God. I always love that grounding. It always feels so good to just get like centered.
It
Centered
does.
with you, starlings. I love it. So, this is a big episode. We got a lot of things happening this time. September is a real doozy. So, this is covering the Virgo eclipse. So that's a solar eclipse that's happening on the 21st. And then on the 22nd of September, we have Libra season that's beginning. And so that's going to be ushering in that equinox energy. And that is another wheel or another spoke on the wheel of Sabbats. So we have Mabon to celebrate. How wonderful.
Yeah, so exciting. It's pretty much my favorite time of the year, hands down. And it maybe always has been, but I didn't really realize it until the last few years where I'm like, oh yeah, everything about the Mabon autumn equinox time period and it's pretty much up to Halloween for me is like my sweet spot on the wheel.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think about it in terms of the wheel as a great time of year, but my husband and I, we were married. So we were born into our marriage on Halloween. And this time of year is like a really like just fall kind of like gets us into that feeling.
Right.
And in September, October, November, December, my husband, he calls it the Burr months because they all end in BER. And I think that's just like the coziest thing. So ushering in this energy just it makes me really excited too.
Yes, cozy. I like cozy, so that's probably why I like this time period so much. Burr months.
Isn't that cute?
I love
And
it.
in addition to all the wonderful things that we've come up with to accompany you during the Burr months, there's going to be a grimoire that is going to be a deep dive into this season, as well as a Spotify playlist. And if you're enjoying this show or like the grimoire, Spotify, any part of it, please remember to like, subscribe, and write a comment. Okay, shall we dive in?
Let's dive in. Eclipse and the beginning of Libra season.
Yes,
What
I'm
do
like this.
you I feel like you have a lot to share with us about the way that it's like a second Virgo moon and that the eclipses are happening as well. Tell us more about this really bizarre beginning to Libra season.
Yeah, it was as we were like going down, I'm like, oh my God, this is astro stuff. I have so many things to say. So thank you. But yeah, interestingly enough, this during this time of year, we actually had two new moons in Virgo. So that is kind of like a rare thing, you know. that doesn't usually happen, but this second one that's occurring, this new moon, that's happening on the 21st at 29 degrees of Virgo, it is going to be a solar eclipse. So, with that new moon energy, that's going to be like a new cycle for us to begin. But again,
Mhm.
like with the eclipses, we kind of want to just take it a little bit easy. And it's also conjunct, so like the south node and the moon, the lunation are happening right next to each other. So the south node is like asking us to release some things.
Mm,
And so what are the things that are going to be nice to release? I think that like the shadows of Virgo are a good thing to just like let go of.
mm.
So these are going to be like the perfectionism, analysis paralysis, workaholism, martyrdom,
Mm,
nitpicky, all those kinds of things where you're just like overly critical with yourself and with other people. This is the time to just step into this window and release those things and then step into the threshold to become your best self.
mm,
And as we step into that, because the very following day on the 22nd, this is all happening in dates in the US. That is when it's going to become Libra season. So that is going to be,
mhm.
the time where we should be in balance, we should be harmonious, we should be considerate of our neighbors, and so many other things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really kind of a cool thing that's happening this year in particular with the two Virgo moons uh and during eclipse season and during the autumn equinox, because it's a lot of, and during the beginning of Libra season, it's a lot of references to balance and opposition and finding balance in that opposition. Yeah, so I really like all of that getting tied together with uh the new moon being at the end of uh the Virgo season. It gives a link between like a beginning and an end.
This is the time of year with so many things being in balance, light and dark. This is just another symbol of Libra. And Libra itself is represented by the scales. It is the only astrological sign that is represented by an object rather than a person or an animal. And I
Right.
think that's so cool because it's bringing in a tool. And this tool is really about the relationships. It's like, it's not about one thing or the other. It's how are they in relation to one another.
Mhm.
And there's nothing more Libra than that.
Right.
It,
Yeah, a tool of a relationship.
Mhm.
And it also brings in like that sense of justice too, and like the balance. When things are just, then there is balance.
Yeah. And one of the things that I'm always talking about is how a relationship is the relay between two things. And so
Mhm.
each thing is responsible for its part of the relay.
Yes.
So
Uh,
if any of your relationships are souring, you might be part of the cause. Side note.
Look into it.
But the modality of Libra is cardinal. So that means that it is initiating energy and that is bringing us into a new season. Hence, this is the autumnal equinox. This is when the fall season begins.
Mhm.
And the element in which it is Libra represents is air. So it's all about intellect. And it's ruled by Venus. So the other sign that is ruled by Venus is Taurus. And I feel like where Taurus is an earth sign and it's very much about the luxuries of being able to have nice things and making things like tangible.
Mhm.
Uh, where it's a little different in Libra is about the atmosphere. It's about how things feel, like what's the vibe in the room and like
Mhm.
do things look pretty and
Mhm.
that ineffable like feeling of a relationship too. Like what's happening, like tending to those things.
I really like thinking about the facets of Venus through that lens of Taurus versus Libra. Just because it's like the perfect word for the beauty that Libra seeks is atmospheric. And I wouldn't have known really how to describe it until I just heard you say atmospheric. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's exactly what the beauty is with Libra. And I think we get used to beauty being about really material, plain things. And that's totally the point in Taurus season, you know, that luxury and that like beautiful food, beautiful colors, comfortable bedding, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's the material world, but Libra is an air sign and of the mind. So it's about like an aesthetic kind of.
And the harmony of like the way that things interplay with one another. Again,
Yeah.
that relationship
And the
dynamic.
relational. Yeah. The
Yeah.
relational beauty.
And
Mm,
then one of those like downsides though is that Libra can be a little bit people pleasing and not necessarily speak up for themselves. So when you're during this time of the year, like make sure that you advocate for yourself because no one else is going to do it for you.
yes.
The cardinal energy of Libra is ushering in this equinox energy, which is also bringing us to this new time of year, the Sabbath of Mabon.
Mabon is definitely my favorite time of year. So I'm excited. I'm so excited, but I think I'm equally overwhelmed by the quantity of content. But I just keep thinking of it as like a cornucopia and
Cute.
like that abundance. And that is, of course, right in line with the autumn equinox as well. But Mabon, the word itself, is like a fairly new term for this time of year, based on a lot of ancient myths from Welsh specifically. Mythology, and then kind of the same themes all around the British Isles. And you'll find that with this Wheel of the Year that has been set up mostly by the Wiccan movement. It's so it's a modern thing in the last century that we've only really even delved into it as an eight-spoke wheel. But I feel like that eight-spoke wheel is a structure for a bunch of things that just have been happening for thousands of years in the way that we honor and celebrate nature and seasons and cycles. So, yeah, Mabon comes specifically from a really good autumn myth about a mother and her son. Mabon ap Madron. Madron would be the mother and Mabon would be the son. And it's a story of sacrifice and loss, very similar to the Greek myth of Persephone, who is lost to the underworld every winter and gets to rejoin her mother every spring.
Yeah. I think it's so crazy because like in so much of like witchcraft culture, you think that it's been around forever, and in some ways it has because there's no way that people haven't been celebrating the autumn equinox. There's like
Right.
absolutely no way that that isn't hasn't happened. But that it wasn't until it was like in the 70s that it was like really defined and associated with that
Mhm.
specific deity, and really like for us to even say that the eight spoke wheel, like that is such a like a neo-pagan situation, and this
Mhm.
conversation is like very much of our time. And this kind of like I really get excited that we are in a time where belief systems can evolve. And this even
Mm,
kind of ties in a little bit with like the chakra pagan and like the crown chakra and how we're going to be diving into that more. But it's just so beautiful how
mm.
so many new things have come out of it. Just like the pagan pride. Like that's even a newer thing.
Oh, yeah. Very fresh and new. I actually didn't even really know about that until you introduced me to it.
And it's just like so cool that like pagan pride is a thing. So like in the 90s, people, I think it started in Brazil, could be wrong about that, but there were groups of people that got together and they had three pillars. They needed to provide some kind of like food drive for less fortunate. They needed to do a ritual that anyone could participate in. So whether you were practicing or not. And then it also included a component of education. So anyone could come and that we could really like show what practicing looks like, because I feel like especially there's so much kind of not, oh, I don't want to say bad blood, but like preconceived notions. And so
Hmm.
when you realize that so much of paganism is about like the earth, the cycles, the elements, the elementals, the devas, it's like it's not really that super scary.
No.
So,
Or
but like
and it's not super serious really either.
yeah, I mean, we don't even have to celebrate on certain days. Like
Right.
when I was doing the research, it was like, okay, some this is like more old paganism. Some would celebrate the full moon in August. Some would celebrate the full moon in September. Some would celebrate the crescent moon in September. So it's just like wherever it fits, it's more about honoring the cycles. Like I
Mhm.
even love this about the Sabbats themselves, in that there isn't one that starts it. It's just like a continual wheel that turns.
Mhm.
It's not like
Yeah.
it starts here and it's definitive here. It's like it's just free
There,
flowing.
there's like beginnings and endings at each segment too.
Mm.
Um, but definitely a lot to do with like what I love about the equinoxes is they're about the transition from beginnings and endings, whereas the solstices are more like the height of something, like the height of a season or the like maximum of something, maximum light, maximum dark. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that wheel is turning. It's not necessarily ever.
stopping.
It's like it's always in a state of beginning and ending somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's actually really cool because it does make me think of um the way that the chakra system works for me on this equinox, because basically chakra 7 is the crown chakra, and it is meant to represent thousandfold concept of the lotus. So the crown chakra is called Sahasrara in Sanskrit, and that word means thousandfold, and it refers to the infinite unfolding petals of the lotus. I love that for the equinox because the other flower that does the same thing is the sunflower, which I love that you have it there today because I wanted some and I didn't have the time to get any myself. But this crown chakra concept is like very reminiscent of what's going on in a sunflower. And if you can see it, this is the image that I use for my 8-spoke wheel of the year for this time of year between September 22nd and November 1st. The concept of this is like petals that are blooming in fractal like patterns upon patterns and like infinitely embedded the way the seeds are. And then the cyclical part of like end to beginning is that sunflower, it reaches for the sun all summer long. And after the end of September, they're gonna start drooping to the ground and like dropping nectars of understanding back into the soil, so to speak, in that concept of returning to the seed chakra, which is the first chakra. So this season is going to take us until it's going to be like a 2-season kind of thing that takes us from the crown chakra back to the seed chakra.
It's so cool how this imagery of the sunflower plays into it, because the myth of Mabon himself touches on this, and I can't wait for you to see why. So I'm going to read to you this little myth. So, long ago, when the hills of Britain were young and the rivers still sang their first song, there was born a child of mystery, Mabon ap Madron, child of the Great Mother. On the third night of his life, while the stars still blinked with newborn light, he was stolen away, vanished into the other world. No mortal could find him, no cry could reach him. Hidden in the darkness, he became the secret seed planted deep where no eye could see him. For ages he was sought. Mighty hunters scoured the lands, druids whispered to the trees, and even the animals of Britain lent their voices in the search. The blackbird, the stag, owl, eagle, and salmon all spoke of him. Only the oldest salmon could swim both river and sea, knew where the child lay. At last, Mabon was freed of his prison. Though taken in weakness, he emerged in strength, radiant as the dawn. No longer an infant, but a youth of unearthly light. He carried with him wisdom of silence, the endurance of stone, and the renewal of spring. Mabon became the divine child eternal, stolen away to return, hidden only to shine brighter. He is the threshold between loss and renewal, sorrow and joy, descent and rebirth. In him, we see the truth of what is taken from us is never lost forever. It awaits in the dark, ripening until the moment to return. And also, in the turning of the year, when light and dark stand equal, his name is remembered. For Mabon, teaching us every ending hides a beginning, and within every shadow glimmers a promise of the sun reborn.
So good.
So good.
I love that.
I do too.
It's cool too because yes, this has everything to do with just the autumn season, but it applies. I love correlating the astrology of the zodiac wheel with the wheel of seasons as well, because that Virgo Pisces axis is huge with service versus surrender and devotion versus disillusion, which are totally like embedded in that story. Yeah, the mother and child story.
Oh my God. And how sad it would be to like lose your child, your infant after 3 days, like the agony of something being taken. And,
Mm.
you know, when this story was really prominent, it was a time where like people didn't know if they were going to survive the winter season. So,
Right.
so many devotions and rituals were done and offerings were given just in hopes that there would be some divine intervention to help them live. And so it's so beautiful to see how um, the otherworldly, the animals, the ancient animals helped and were their
Mhm.
spirit guides. And that even at the hardest time, because maybe you might lose a child yourself during that season, that, you know, spring always comes. During this Mabon season, we have compiled a bunch of different rituals that you can partake in to utilize these energies to the fullest. And one of the things that I'm going to be doing, especially, is preparing for winter. So I'm going to be decluttering in a lot of different ways, spiritually, cleaning out cupboards, just preparing my calendar so that my
Mhm.
to do list by the time winter comes, I am set and ready.
Yes, and you can do that in any aspect of your life. Like for me, I'm going to work on my like digital cleanup this time around. I got to go through all my Google Drives, my photos, my I've got recipe things that need to get organized. It's all, I just want to clean it all up and like cut out all the like screenshots of r- things that I don't need anymore and stuff like that. So like that's going to be my little winter prep is my digital cleanup. But you can do it with anything really, like just even spiritual. If you were trying to like get right with what's going on in here, you can do spiritual cleanup. It doesn't have to be something so concrete. Um, on the other hand, I'm like love something so concrete. So another way that's like really different from the organizing that I like to try and celebrate is to tap in on that witches, like the witches Thanksgiving concept of the autumn equinox. And I love that you had included host a BBQ as one of the things on the list. And as part of my like journey this fall, I'm letting go of, or I'm giving in to surrender. So like letting go of control of everything all the time. And I usually feel like I have to be in charge, but I've finally started to learn to like let something else be my celebration. And so I'm totally doing that with my friend's birthday party. He's like got my dad playing live music. It's going to be a barbecue on a Sunday afternoon with a lot of friends, probably a bunch of people I haven't seen in a long time. Um, and it's just, that's the gathering. That's the gathering that I'm using for my equinox celebration.
Oh my God, that's so perfect.
I like it.
Uh, And then, like, I have, like, I kind of have turned my dining room into like the altar of the house. So I
Um,
like to really like switch out all the colors, have the cornucopias, the apples, like just have the rusty colors, the pumpkins, have
mm,
it be the theme of the time before it
mhm.
becomes Halloween time.
Yes. Other things you can do, like all kinds of things with food related because of this harvest season is like, and the cornucopia is a great representation of why of, or it's a great symbol of that kind of concept of harvest and abundance. But like so many things you can do to connect with that and honor harvest season include like anything you want to do in your house, drying foods, canning foods, freezing. I just froze some peaches and I let that be one of my little rituals. um Maybe go apple picking or wine tasting is very appropriate for this time of year given the um that the god.
Dionysus.
Yes, that one.
It's the Dionysus, the Greek god of wine and drinking and parties. Oh
Yeah,
my.
it's him.
But in addition to that, we've also come up with a Mabon chakra ritual too that we'd like to invite you to.
Yes, let's get into Mabon Crown Chakra Ritual. I want to start with an excerpt from Wheels of Life, A User's Guide to the Chakra System by Anadea Judith. She has really cool poems in all of the chapters for each of the chakras, and this is one of them. And it ties in a lot of the symbols and correspondences that we've been over already, so that's fun too. Through starry heavens ever climbing, matter's solid threads unbinding, out beyond far heaven's veil, the Father rules the starlit trail. In patterns bright, perceived by sight, our thoughts turn over day through night. Through our thinking, ever linking, winding, weaving wisdom's webs, ancient patterns, flows and ebbs. Auspicious Shiva, Lord of sleep, your meditations bring us deep to ancient wisdom found within a sacred place where we begin. And ending, here we shall return. Reconnected, we have learned to know divinity inside and bring it forth with honored pride. The key within our minds we hold, to mysteries we shall unfold. Gateway to the worlds beyond, in sacred space and peace we bond.
Mm, how beautiful. That really sets the tone so beautifully
I like
for
it.
this Mabon ritual. Invoking that chakra, the crown chakra, and then you'll sit at an altar and you'll have two of something. So balance symbols. I think that I'm probably going to have a white candle and a black candle, but you can really have pairs of any offerings. And while you're there, call in the energies of the equinox. and visualize a golden light coming in through your crown and streaming out your crown. And speak aloud what you'd like to release. And speak what you want to bring into sacred service.
And then also you can just take that with you. Those meditations, speaking what you're releasing, speaking what sacred service you're stepping into, or any other incantations that you come up with for the season. You can do those in your mind or out loud when you walk through doors physically. And just pausing to name what you're trying to end and begin each time, or at a certain time every day, or something like that.
And that threshold, walking through the threshold, I know that Michael Phelps, he was told by a therapist that every time he walked through a door to give himself an affirmation, and we all know how much he's accomplished. So it works. It works,
Apparently it
folks.
works. I love that. Well, that brings us to oracle readings. I have an oracle card today because on each of the Sabbats, I have one that I already picked at the beginning of the year. So I'll tell you about that one first, and then we'll do our pull for the threshold moment from Kim Cran's The Wild Unknown Alchemy, which is my deck that I'm using for this particular part of each episode. And I'll be using her Wild Unknown Alchemy deck until the end of this year. So firstly, before we get into that one, the one that I pulled at the beginning of the year for this period from the Autumn Equinox at September 22nd until Day of the Dead on November 1st is Boundaries with a Jaguar on it. This is Marcella Kroll's deck called the Sacred Symbols, and she's got several iterations, and they're really cool. So this card, Boundaries, asks us to stand our ground and be our own guardian and take up space. This is not the time to play small. You need to honor your space and create healthy boundaries in your situations, and meditate on this symbol when you want to set a healthy boundary and stick to it. I really like that for the second iteration of a Virgo new moon, because Virgo is all about boundaries. Your Jaguar can also help you keep your integrity and your standards high. The Jaguar is a symbol of integrity and impeccability. It has a healthy sense of boundaries and respects magic and the unknown. So yeah, I like
And I
that one a
think
lot.
one of the weaknesses of Libra is not having very good boundaries. So to have the power of Jaguar behind you is really, really strengthening and so helpful during this time.
Yeah, I love that as like a counterbalance to what can go awry in Libra season. So now we'll go ahead and pull the threshold card for the autumn equinox and the new Virgo moon / Virgo eclipse energies that we're going to have for the next month ahead. And ooh, I love this deck because it's different from a regular tarot deck, and everything is kind of new to me. So this one is number 50. It has a really cool moth on it and a flame. And it's called the Mystical Sister, which is Soror Mystica in Latin. Okay, let's see what Kim Kranz has to say about that card. Sacred Ally, Anima, Outreach. Just when you thought you could traverse the alchemical path by yourself, Soror Mystica appears. This card indicates a dear friend or sacred ally holds you in their heart at this very moment. With their support, you are able to do what you cannot do yourself. Between you exists an alchemical pact based on the ingredients of respect, honesty, and unconditional love. It's as if you've known each other for many lifetimes. You may have shared an experience from which you are always bonded. This archetype may come in any gender, age, or form. One distinct characteristic of Soror Mystica is that they practice the art of witnessing and listening. They have no need to judge, fix, or give advice. Presence is enough. When this card appears, tend to the flame of friendship. Be a mystical sister to another. Cool. That one's
Oh my
awesome.
God.
It's us.
It is us. It's twin stars, but not just that, it's
I like
starlings
it.
too.
And I like to how that ties into that like reunion and union that is a Thanksgiving gathering of some kind. And then the kind of like reconnection with somebody who you haven't seen in a long time, or just even like forgiveness and gratitude that come up around these events and themes.
And the allies, just having allies they come in so many different forms, and that kind
Mhm.
of ties in with the pagan pride, and then the just relationships and maintaining those. It's very Libra as well. So of course these are always so brightly woven.
So brightly woven. I love it. Thanks for crossing the threshold with us today. If something sparked, refined, or rebalanced your spirit,
Share the magic, leave a review, follow the show, and invite others to our celestial circle.
find the companion grimoire and Spotify playlist to keep you going through this season, linked in the show notes below. I'm Basic Witch on Instagram, where art, ritual, and witchcraft meet soul expression.
And I'm at the House of Mage, where the moon is our mentor and magic is our method.
Until next time, Starling.
Walk the threshold of balance, serving what is sacred, honoring both harvest and the dark. Bye.
Bye-bye.